Donald Trump tonight is holding on to a 1-point lead in one poll over Hillary Clinton. That according to the latest national IBD presidential tracking poll. Trump leading 41 to 40%. The IBD, the Investor Business Daily poll, was the most accurate poll, by the way, on the outcome of the 2012 presidential race. So we're going to pay that, according, by the way, to Nate Silver of 538. So we're going to pay particular attention to IBD throughout the remainder of the campaign here. Joining me now, staff writer for the Federalist, Payton, joining us. Good to have you with us. One of the most remarkable, to me, developments over the past 24 hours was this sort of sanctimonious clucking sound coming from the national liberal media when Donald Trump said that he would insist on a free, fair, honest election before he would accept the results. You would have thought he said we're going to knock down the Washington Monument. What other response would be rational and intelligent and responsible?
I think it's perfectly fair to expect a fair election, and I think that his questioning of this being rigged is completely reasonable, given that, you know, there was a GOP office in North Carolina that was literally firebombed last week, right. And now we're having these undercover sting videos that are coming out and showing that Democratic operatives paid, you know, volunteers and protesters to incite violence, and also they were planning to mess up the polls on Election Day. So I think his questioning of the system being rigged or not is perfectly reasonable and fair. And, you know, we do know, based on the data that we have from a Pew Charitable Trust study, that 1 in 8 voter registrations are either invalid or expired. So, and that's roughly equates to something like 18 million voter registrations are just invalid, so, which is certainly enough to tip an election. So I think that his concern is perfectly legitimate.
Yeah, and it is somewhat, it shouldn't, I suppose, surprise me, but it is astonishing that there was a whole convention of national liberal media types and all forms of media really taking Trump to account, because he said he would not accept just blindly, without condition, a result given the context that you've described, of which they're aware. It makes them seem to be very clearly part of the problem we're contending against in this country when we talk about a corruption-free government and a society that's actually been served by its government instead of controlled by it.
You're completely right, and I think it's also telling that a lot of the groups who try to silence or gaslight these concerns about voter integrity often are liberal groups. You know, we're often told that, oh, requiring someone to bring a photo ID to the poll is somehow racist. So I think that this kind of narrative about, oh, don't worry, election integrity and voter fraud is not a real thing, it doesn't exist at all, I think it's ironic that it often comes from the left, and now we're seeing physical evidence that the left is actually doing this.
You know, Bree, as we wrap up here, and I want to thank you for being with us, my wife and I met a gentleman from Mexico last night at the debates in Las Vegas, and in talking, he presented me with his national ID card, voting card from the Elections Bureau of Mexico. Every voter has to have a photo ID in Mexico. Do you think they're being racist to one another? Just a rhetorical.
No.
It's just a rhetorical question. But that's how important electoral integrity is to Mexico. We can't quite catch up on that. Unfortunately, not yet. Bree, thanks for being with us. Good to have you.
Thank you.